keywords may get his attention later on today. So we are Facebook Live right now. We're going to just kind of banter for a minute or two until I figure out, make sure and verify that I've got everything on my little Excel spreadsheet right here ready to go. Actually, we need to do some of these other things. I need a 5 count from you as I'm looking at the audio. David, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I am actually going to turn you down a little bit because I think when we get both of us get a little animated, it's going to be extra fun. I'm going to attempt to read your bio, which is a great bio here. David Quick is a recovering bull in the China shop who uses his passion to help business leaders and their teams thrive. A 3-time CEO of rapid growth organizations, David helps leaders thrive by sharpening their focus on vision, values, expectations, and engagement. And then we'll go right in.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. I think, bless you. I think we're good right there. Helpingbulls.com. Love your site, man. Like the whole look and the branded, and the typography and everything. Really well done.
Awesome. Thank you.
You must have a really good designer because I don't know that would be your normal gift, be real high end, visual design. But
it's a fantastic lady down in North Carolina that I found through an executive coaching client. So she's been awesome.
Well, cool. Well, let me know if you have any other questions or comments, and we can dive in.
No, I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, good. All right. Well, we are going to go live in 3, 2. We are live with David Quick. David, are you ready to talk?
I'm more than ready. Let's go, Nathan.
David Quick is a recovering bull in the China shop who uses his passion to help business leaders and their teams thrive. A 3-time CEO of rapid growth organizations, David helps leaders thrive by sharpening their focus on vision, values, expectations, and engagement. David Quick, welcome to the talk.
Nathan, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Your talk is called Harnessing the Power of Your Herd. And what I loved about your talk is you really brought us into your world very, very quickly. And there are 3 types of bulls in the herd. So there are all kinds of different paradigms. Everybody's a bull. Everybody is self-directed. But our job is to control the herd. So please take us behind your talk, David.
Sure. So it comes from my own experience as a leader, and I talk even in the intro, this recovering bull in a China shop, and the recognition running companies and now working with CEOs all over the country from executive coaching, organizational coaching, CEO peer groups, that there are really these 3 types of bulls in the world. I focus and look and say, 1, it's gender neutral. It comes from our inner power and passion that we all have. And that as leaders, it's important to recognize everyone can have that. Everyone can have this inner power and passion. And it's our job to find it, to pull them into our herd and extract that power and passion. And the 3 types of bulls for me are those that are in the ring: angry, bitter, disgruntled, hurt, bloodied, engaged in a very high way, but negatively engaged. And then if you look at Gallup poll or anything else, 50% of the U.S. workforce, those that are led by the ring. We got the nose ring. I got to put a hook there. I got to lead them to work. I got to lead them to satisfaction. And then this elusive 30% that are what I call ringing the bell, that are powerful, passionate. They're coming to work every day. Sunday afternoon, they're foaming at the bit to say, how do I get to work on Monday? And unfortunately, that's a small percentage of most workforces. And it's really, how do I get everybody to that place? Even if it's the most mundane, I got to put this bolt on 400 times today. I think there's ways in which we can engage them and get them to be powerful and passionate even in that. And the kind of metaphoric view of that is they're excited to do it perfect 400 times today with a goal of, hey, I can tweak out 425. And you and I would most likely say, I'm the guy that's going to put my hand in the machine so that I can get booted from that job. But there are people that would say, I'm excited and want to do that job. So,
well, I suspected watching your talk and going on your website that it really seemed to pretty closely parallel that what I think is a horrific Gallup poll about, I mean, especially when you're not just talking about disengaged people, that are just kind of numb and going through life. But then there are the actively disengaged people that are literally destroying all the China around and trying to get everybody else to as well. So I love the parallel right there. I was tracking with it, and I just love the gender neutral, the very flattering image of a gender neutral bull for all the ladies out there.
Well, and I share all the time that all of my bull persona comes from my mother. She was the demanding one. She's a college professor, a former school superintendent. So I come by it honestly, and it comes from a female shaping of all of this bull persona. So.
Okay, well, we're not overlooking anybody or any gender or anyone out there. No one is safe. Let's get down to business. Let's talk. I mean, you're doing Vistage, and you're helping other executives all day long with these kinds of issues. That's really what the executive's job is to find out. Okay, what is my ratio here in the culture that I'm overseeing? What are the percentages? And then how do we hopefully eliminate the actively disengaged and just engage the people, bring them all over the threshold? Can you tell me some stories or some techniques or tips or maybe just the underlying values? Because it really is a culture issue, correct?
Absolutely, Nathan. And I talk about it in the 4 things that you led up in the intro. And it's really, I talk about vision, and we hear a lot of people talk about it. And I've even listened to some of your podcast where, hey, it can't be this fantasy vision. I instead said it just needs to be compelling and at the same time repelling. And you use that as the magnet to bring the right people into your organization.
Say that again. Compelling and repelling.
Correct. So much like a magnet, it will draw the right people in and it'll push the wrong people away. Mm-hmm. And that it's your vision of the future. It's how you articulate that to your organization. It's how you drive people to come toward you, but also push people away if wrong. So that's one. So I talk about and spend time with leaders, mission, vision, everyone's eyes glaze over, words on the wall, and instead say, no, make it meaningful. Make it something that compels people to come be part of your organization. The second piece is core values, and again, people's eyes glaze over. Typically, or stereotypically, we have these one-word integrity, be honest, whatever they are on the wall, and instead, I use an exercise that says, describe your model citizens, put things on the wall and segment them, and then name them. So the organizations I worked with have things like, we all kill our own spiders. We're all willing to sweep floors. We hang tassels regularly. And so I use this as an internal guide that says, this is how we all act and behave. These are the people we want to hire. And again, it's this compelling magnet that brings people in that understand your language or want to, and that will act and behave that way. The third is set really high expectations. Many times in my life, I look at those and say, yeah, we all say that, but I use the analogy all the time. Are you the Cleveland Browns or are you the New England Patriots? Neither team am I a fan of. Indianapolis and a longtime Colts fan, I hate the New England Patriots, but you admire the way they start every season. There's an expectation that we're going to not only go to the Super Bowl, but win it, and anything falling short of that is falling short. And then last is engagement. How do we bring the bulls into our herd, meet with them regularly, bring them together as herd, and reinforce the first 3? So how do you reinforce vision, values, expectations in a real meaningful way to get the most out of your herd? So I spend time with leaders doing those 4 things at the highest level as organizations, subtly different individually, which we can talk about in terms of executive coaching, but their role as leader is focused on those 4 things.
Well, you just brought in the football. So I'm about 30 miles outside Philadelphia. Did you approve of Nick Foles' handling of the ball this year?
Well, I think he certainly did remarkable things at the end of the season. There's no question. And I think there's a lesson there of, hey, what can adversity do for organizations? How do we step into that? What were the expectations the whole year? And I think all of that is testament to great teams and the way people do things. So it's awesome.
I love how you mentioned about the repelling effect of a great team, and I've been thinking and reflecting very quickly about that. And a great culture, a great team is self-reinforcing. It's not coming down from the top. And so if you have someone who's a good player but not a best-in-class player, everybody else is best-in-class or or really highly excellent, there's going to be somebody very, very uncomfortable, and that person's going to just self-select and opt out, most likely. It's uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, which is this becomes a circular argument over time, which is which came first. And if you build that culture, the culture self-reinforces, here's all the things that we cherish. And you can also start to have conversations, Nathan, before people come into your organization. So we spend a lot of time on hiring. We have some tools that help people do that from a personality assessment standpoint, which is part of our thriving. But really, it's this reinforcement of values. I say, if you're not about, we all sweep floors here, so this work would be below you. You don't think you're willing to work that hard, then you're going to stand out. I joke. I said, this is Sesame Street. You don't want to be the one that's not like the others. And that organizationally, we pull things together that way and say it starts to reinforce how we act and behave every day.
Well, isn't it interesting? I mean, you're talking. You just triggered me with which of these kids is not like the other. That's right. It's hitting my inner 4-year-old right now. But it's so interesting because our teams, they're made out of highly diversified subject matter experts, but the culture piece, they have to play in the sandbox together. They have to be flexible, even if they're highly specialized experts. And
yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. I think that too often in my talks, you start to say, well, you're saying hire robots or do this, and say, no, we embrace the individuality. And in our hiring tool, we literally frame and say, it's right people, right seats. In my vernacular, the right bull in the right seat. And we need to find people that are powerful and passionate in their role, but also contribute powerfully and passionately to the team. And that if they're brilliant jerks, they're not part of our organization. That's not what we're looking for. We want brilliant, passionate people that will help and elevate the entire team, that they're willing to give more of themselves to help others, that they embrace whatever our core values are in a way that's meaningful.
You know, David, have you brought up the brilliant jerks or
yep.
Some of these otherwise known as SMEs or subject matter experts. Hopefully, brilliant people. Not all subject matter experts are jerks or have to be jerks. I wrote a book on subject matter experts, so this is triggering me in a good way. The question that I really want to ask you, and I love that we have a Vistage chair. I mean, Vistage, the best of the best brand in terms of CEOs coming together. And this is this is servant leader stuff. This is top culture stuff. I feel like I'm talking to Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A or somebody, because these great organizations, and it's all service and it's humility and also embracing your greatness. The question I'm trying to get to, David, is when you find a brilliant jerk, I hope you can give me a case study or two of a brilliant jerk that you were able to make aware of the jerkiness. But we can't always do that. But I mean, have you had much success in being able to coach kind of a rags to riches or darkness to light experience for a brilliant jerk who realizes and has the awareness of the ramifications of being a brilliant jerk?
Yes, and I share a couple things, and I'll give you just a case study here, and we'll protect the innocent in terms of names and all those things, of course. But working with an executive coaching client, did 360 review, went with his team, and essentially comes out that they all respect how demanding this person is, but they can't respect how demeaning this person is. So I've spent a lot of time using things like radical candor. How can you demonstrate, in her words, give a damn, Kim Scott at Google, yet still challenge directly all the time? And it's this two-way street of, hey, you got to show you care, and you show you care by showing some love in whatever way you can do that. And so the cue, or I'll call it consistent message for this business leader, has been, how can you remain demanding without being demeaning? And that, how do we check back into that? And what are the instances and way in which you have in the past demeaned? And can we get you focus on, I can demand, I can set really high expectations. If I go back to my world, I go, high expectations are awesome. But when people meet them, you have to praise them. You have to put your arm around them and say, I love you for doing this for me. I love the contribution you make to the team. So there are plenty of ways to get through those, but you hit on something, which is I have to be willing to be self-aware. And so, in our coaching business, we use a lot of things to do that. We do personality assessments. We talk and key into. We do group sessions with most business leaders and some of their team. And then the biggest is simple 360 feedback, and a lot of people poo-poo it. But if you can get real candor, again, from those people that are around this leader and help them get that awareness, and that's just one way. We do a lot of group session with business leaders and teams, and we do the subtle, what do you most admire about this person's leadership, and what would you caution them about their leadership? And we record those. We go back to those. We spend time with business leaders saying, this is how you're perceived. Do you want to be perceived that way?
Very good. And David, I am looking at my recorder right now. I've never had this happen before, but I've got all zeros right there. So, and it says SD card full. So
awesome.
This has never, ever happened before. I think we missed the last 20 seconds of that only.
No problem.
So I am going to look. I have a little cart over here, but I've got my light. I think what we're going to do, we're going to take a 90-second break. And,
do whatever you need to do. Not a problem.
I'm going to pop a new one in here, and I'll be right back.
No problem. I'm going to do the manual approach of Finder. Okay. I'm going to scroll all the way back in time. Way back in time. I'm going to delete a couple really old ones here. While you're doing that, I loved your TEDx talk and your little memory aid of ARM. It was awesome. So I listened to all of it, and from a leadership standpoint, there was some stuff that was dead on there that it was just a nice little memory aid to say, all right, well, here's how you do this whole empathy thing and lead versus it was great. I loved it.
Well, wasn't it great that I had the opportunity to have to do it in the moment instead of raging on those guys? I appreciate that. Let's see. Just knocking out a couple of these. I'm going to have to do this before my last interview here today. Right. All right. Didn't know I could be a pack rat with digital media, but apparently it's possible.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So I'm restarting this. Hey, everybody watching this. Just be flexible with the technology. This is a day of backups. Backups to the backups. All right. Well, good. All right. Now I get to remember what we were talking about.
I think we left executive coaching demanding, demeaning, and then I just shared a little bit about kind of an exercise that we had done, but
okay,
we can go back to it. We can leave it. Fine, whatever works for you.
We'll go back to it here. Well, Yeah, briefly. All right, we are back with a newly recording second file because the old one ran out of time. Yeah, the question before we pivot over here, David, to the Blitz round, I love the whole idea of a 360-degree feedback. I love how they can, someone can be having a challenge. All it takes is just reaching out to an outside voice, an objective voice, to be able to do that. Can you just summarize what you told me while I realized we had run out of space here on the card?
Sure. So from a high level perspective, we talked about this willingness to have self-awareness, and that really comes from a couple of different ways. How do we have group sessions with leaders? How do we do 360 feedback? And then use visual and auditory. So if we record it with video to be able to see the feedback from others, or just the words of others, audio or even text, to say, well, here's how you're perceived. Do you want to be perceived that way? And with some intention, start to look at behavior modification. How do I, in the case we talked about, continue to demand, set really high expectations, but not do it in a demeaning way? Sprinkle some love, show people that you care, that you give a damn, from Radical Candor and Kim Scott, which is a great way to frame it.
Well, and I love demanding, which is actually good, and only high-performing teams will realize and affirm that it's good instead of whining or complaining about it, but demeaning is never good. So I love that we keep the strength, but we don't let the strength get so strong that it's dysfunctional and a weakness.
Well, again, there's this fine line, power and passion, when it crosses into something else. So
for sure. Well, we're about to, speaking of crossing into something else, we're about to cross into the Blitz round. So you ready for this, David?
Let's go.
I'm getting ready to interview and ask David some either-or questions related to the performance and the preparation of his talk. Question number one, were you selected to speak or did you apply?
Well, I've done two TEDx talks. So the first one I was asked, and the second one I asked.
Are you a memorizer, an improviser, or a blender?
I am much more improviser. I use a little trick of recording multiple talks, have it transcribed, and then use the transcription as a outline. What do I need to talk about? But more improvisation clearly than memorization.
All right. Well, besides the transcript tip, besides that, because you answered the question, what's a tip, technique, or a tool that helped you besides that? And that's a good.
So the biggest is remember that above all, this is a performance. We had a great speaker come in and help us in our TEDx talk, Bloomington. Shout out to those folks. And he talked about it, that you cross the line, and that when you cross this line, you are moving to a performance. And that he gave some great examples. Perform powerfully and enjoy it. Enjoy the performance. Share with others this performance.
So since it is a performance, what is the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or right before your speech?
The MC for mine introduced me to the audience, and that was lost in the video, as they had just done a thumb war and said, I want to welcome to the stage Dave Quick, a recovering bull in the China shop, and this guy has the biggest thumb I've ever seen in the world. And so it was helpful for me. The audience was warm and receptive and laughing, but it was completely unexpected from my standpoint. So, but in a welcome way.
We've been enjoying a really candid, very fast-moving conversation with David Quick, who is a Vistage Chair, Bloomington, Indiana. His talk is called Harnessing the Power of Your Herd. If you don't want to type all of that stuff manually into YouTube, you can go to our show notes page at bethetalk.com. We have a little hyperlink. All it takes is one click when you go there. As well as, I want to urge you, check that talk out and connect with David over at his website, which is called helpingbulls.com. It's helpingbulls.com. David Quick, what is your favorite and final word of advice for Talk Universe?
More than anything, share your passion with the world. In my bull vernacular, get out and demonstrate, share that passion. When you do, others will enjoy it. They will welcome your insight and what you have to share with the world.
David Quick, this went by really quick. Thank you for coming over to the talk and sharing your wisdom today with Talk Universe.
Thank you very much, Nathan. I enjoyed it as well. Thanks.
All right. Hey, we wrapped it up. Different tech difficulties than what Janet went through.
No worries at all.
Thanks for your patience, my friend.
Not at all. I appreciate you having me on again.
Awesome. Well, good. I am going to go ahead very quickly and actually open my browser, make sure, because the software I use doesn't always give me the comments in real time. Want to make sure nobody asked anything, because when I started doing these Facebook Lives, I said, nobody ask any and then nobody commented. They're all scared to comment. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I do want people commenting. And if we do have a little bit of time, I don't want to absolutely discourage them. So I want to check this out in case we got a couple of good thumbs up, which is pretty good because it's commuting time, dinner time, commuter time.
Well, hopefully right. they weren't thumbs upping while they were commuting.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Let's see what we got here. Man, Facebook takes so long to load when I've got all this other stuff going on. Maybe because I'm already Facebook living and doing all this other good stuff. Come on already. David, man, I think we could have another 18 conversations like this. I think there's no shortage of any of this stuff here. Okay. All right, so now I see who the people are that like this particular video. This is a great thing to be able to share. I don't know if I was able to live tag you, David, or not, but I will go back and if you haven't already friended me on my Facebook profile, I will be able to live tag you at that point.
Awesome.
And then, wow, that's crazy. Watching myself say what I said.
5 minutes ago, right?
Oh,
Back to the Future, Groundhog Day.
Get it? Oh, yeah, Groundhog. Yeah. Wow, that's weird. Or I could realized it. I could just pull it up on my phone. That might be an easier way to do this.
No worries.
Every day, your awareness just goes a little higher every day when you're spinning tech plates like this. So you can I'll try to live tag you if I haven't already on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And feel free to share. And this is a nice little portfolio media piece. And really, the humble bragging starts at this point. So what I'm going to do is jump off the Facebook Live. I'll stay tuned in for another minute with you. We'll have a truly candid, private conversation.
Great.